Hello everyone and welcome to this video which is in our Human Game series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we are taking a look at the fifth and final game of the Women's Candidates Final between Zhongyi Tan and Tingjie Lei. So in the fourth game, Tingjie Lei had won a fantastic game and really it was up to Zhongyi Tan to make something of her last white game in this match. Bit of an interesting question, what was she going to play? 1c4, 1d4, 2c4 again? Well, again, we were surprised because actually Zhongyi Tan played d4, d5, knight f3, knight c6, knight f6, and then e3, leading into the Colle opening. Zhongyi Tan had never played this before, as far as I can see. There were 3 games of Tingjie Lei, which might have been a sort of a stimulus for playing this, because yeah, you know, after all, if you have the feeling you know a little bit what your opponent will play, then that often can give you a push just to do something. In all fairness, though, Tingjie Lei had scored quite well in those games, 2.5 out of 3, and hadn't looked like she was particularly struggling either. So I'm quite intrigued to know what it was that attracted Zhongyi Tan to this opening. Tingjie Lei actually played a slightly different system to what she'd played before. So played e6, bishop d3, c5, b3, knight c6, bishop b2. This is the Colle-Zukertort system. The great player Zukertort, Johannes, I think it is, Zukertort, came up with this system back in the 1880s. And it's a very nice opening system for white, really. Also, Artur Yusupov played it a lot in the 80s with great success. I mean, white's just simply aiming to castle on the king side, play a3, c4, and just has a very nice attacking setup. The bishop's pointing towards the king, the pawn's in the centre. There can be nothing wrong with that. What Tingjie Lei played was something very interesting that I think I first saw recommended in a book by Richard Pert. He had a sort of a Ragozin, a Queen's Gambit Ragozin based repertoire, but I think that this was what he recommended. It was to take on d4 and then to play g6. And the idea being to fianchetto the bishop with bishop g7 and play castles. The nice thing about this line is that, well, playing the pawn to g6, you're blocking the attack of the bishop against the king side. So that simply means that, well, king side attacks are likely to be less effective for white. There is one little drawback to it, and Zhongyi Tan goes for it, plays this move, bishop a3. And white is stopping the black king from castling. The big question is really, you know, how serious is that? Of course, if white can open up the centre, it might be reasonably serious. But yeah, you know, if white doesn't really manage that, yeah, I mean, black will probably find a way, you know, either to castle artificially or to castle on the queen side, for example. What I was very impressed about with Tingjie Lei, you might say, you know, obviously you're a point up in the match, probably want to play solidly for black for the draw, but she played very aggressively and very forthrightly and really put the onus on Zhongyi Tan to find something. And yeah, this proved to be very difficult. Knight e4 was the move. So actually counterattacking quite nicely, leaving the king in the centre, but obviously, you know, the centre's reasonably close, you're not too worried, and actually just attacking this d4 pawn that's been weakened by playing the bishop to a3. And we've got a few possibilities here, and I think it's fair to say, I don't think it's unfair to say rather, that Zhongyi Tan never really managed to find, you know, a really aggressive plan to trouble black with. The engines here are actually suggesting the move c4, which is typically sharp. The idea is that after knight d4 you take on d5, takes, and knight g5, queen g3, bishop a1, h4, very, very sharp indeed. After e takes d5, h takes g5, you know, black's position would be fine, but the king is caught in the centre there. So, yeah, white's got a fair amount of pressure here. This was a game Dragon against Stockfish. Dragon can always be relied on for interesting exchange sacrifices. And, well, I mean, this was quite thrilling, really. You know, Stockfish, of course, managed to hold it. But, yeah, I really like white's play here. So that might possibly be an idea, but you need to be really prepared for it, I think. It's not something I could easily make up as I went along, to be honest. Also, black has moves like queen a5, and this is actually a very common engine reaction to this move, bishop a3. You just attack the bishop, and basically you're stopping this knight on b1 from developing. And well, what the engines were doing eventually was just playing bishop b2. I mean, you're claiming that black's gone knight e4 and f5, so you're claiming that bishop a3 has provoked that. But whether that's a good thing or not, or whether black's just gained a lot of central space, yeah, I mean, well, you can argue both sides. I actually tend to think that black's just gained a lot of central space. I'm quite happy with black from this position. So rook e1 was Zhongyi Tan's move, f5, and now c3. By the way, rook e1 was a novelty. The previous game that had been played was bishop b5. This was Edouard against Cornet, I think, in the French Championship. And after bishop d7, white went c4, but it didn't look so impressive for white. And yeah, black got a pretty good game there. So rook e1, f5, and then c3, and it's pretty clear that basically, white's looking to stop the black king from casting normally, and then yeah, we're going to try and get the pieces developed, I guess. Maybe queen c2, knight d2, and then play c4 once you're fully ready. But in actual fact, yeah, the way that Tingjie Lei plays so aggressively, yeah, it just emerges that white doesn't have time for that. I think, if black played passively, then this might well have worked. But yeah, well, you're going to see what black did. Rook c8 was played. Not necessarily the engine's favourite move, and I'll explain a little bit why after. But after queen b2, just getting out of the way, then g5, an amazing move, a really powerful move. Just essentially black saying, look, I've got this fantastic knight on e4 supported by these pawns. White's got no central pressure whatsoever. I mean, playing c4 is really, really risky, so I'm just gonna grab space. Show me what you want to do. And the amazing thing about this position is that the engine's actually already, they're in full panic mode, really. They are looking for this move. Bishop e4, fe, and then knight e4, takes knight d2. All over the shop, they want to play this, knight takes e4, and then knight d6 after. It's actually why the engines prefer to play these lines without rook c8, because when you play the knight e4 to d6, then you're hitting that rook. The engines managed to make a reasonable number of draws like this from this position. But I think, the violence of this reaction and, the alarm that the engines show at the position, that really shows, what danger white's in. For a human player, really difficult to take that sort of decision. I mean, very difficult to assess these positions where you've just got two pawns for the piece, and very hard to take the decision because it doesn't look so bad. You might say, okay, I'm a bit cramped. It's as if I was playing black maybe more than white. But actually the engine's already, give them a few more moves and they're at +2. I mean, basically completely winning advantage for black. So, yeah, we can learn a lot from the engines about these sort of assessments. And, how Tingjie Lei plays it is absolutely brilliant. G4 played. I think the engines were looking at playing king f7 instead, but g4's a pretty good move as well. Again, the engines just want to sacrifice a piece on e4, bishop e4, knight e4, knight d2 to e4, and in we go. But yeah, well, Zhongyi Tan takes a normal human approach, and actually just ends up getting horribly squashed here. So queen f6, queen e2, h5, knight d2, and now bishop f8 from Tingjie Lei, just offering the exchange of bishops. Yeah, believe it or not, this position for black, the engines are assessing it at +2. This was a game, I think, was it Stockfish against Leela, Leela against Stockfish? In both cases, the engines are winning it as black. So, I mean, it's quite serious. h4, king d8, and now, oh yeah, this is Stockfish against Leela, a4, a6, knight f1, h3. We just bury this bishop in the corner here, and then just play nice and solidly. Get the king over to the queen side, and then just line up. And yeah, just somehow the engines just don't believe in this at all for white, and eventually Stockfish got ground down. The big problem being always that, you can end up swapping off pieces, and then this bishop is just never getting out. So it's just actually this enormous amount of space that black can win that's the real problem for white. So bishop b2 was played, bishop d6, rook d1, castles. Actually, the engines already want to play g3 in this position. F takes g3, h4, which is pretty it's pretty serious, with all of this aiming at the white king, and of course the knight unable to come to f3 as well. That would have been really serious. But Tingjie Lei's move is super. I mean, castles, g3, and now this move knight d8, and black is just aiming to play knight f7 to g5 into f3. Now, I mean, we're at the point where the engines are suggesting, instead of Zhongyi Tan's bishop g2, suggesting knight b1 and bishop c1. Yes, to be able to meet knight g5 with bishop takes g5. But, well, again, Leela just goes for this position, plays h4, and then the engines are just scoring 100% with black. You're gonna play some rooks to the h file. You're gonna take on g3, and you're gonna power through eventually. It's just too much. So this is a really grim, depressing position, and yeah, I mean, Tingjie Lei played it quite beautifully, actually. Just very simple chess. In we go, threatening to open the h file here. So g4 was played. Then a very good move, h3. I was saying this on Macedon, and well, Tingjie Lei played it straight away. It's the engine choice as well, just to make sure that that white can't play a move like queen h3. Here, which sort of defends h2, defends g4, and allows the king to get out of the way. Now that you play h3, there's no space for white on the king side here. King h1, rook f7. The engines were playing king f7 followed by rook g8, but yeah, I mean, it's much of a muchness now. Already the engines are at +6 or +7. It's that winning, they think. It's quite amazing, really. So Zhongyi Tan tried for some sort of play, some sort of counterplay, but yeah, just Tingjie Lei played it, very beautifully. I mean, we're just going to line up. We've got all the time in the world. We can end up taking and then going rook to g4. The best move that white's got actually is to try and block with knight f1 to g3, just to try and block that g file and then survive. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for a human player to play like this. The engines, of course, can do it, but a human player looks for counterplay, and that's what Zhongyi Tan went for. So after rook g4, we got rook e4. Yeah, I flagged this on Macedon. I was really proud of myself, just wondering all of a sudden, whoa, what is happening here? Because if rook e4, the idea is to go bishop g5, and then you're going to have a knight f6 check afterwards, and who knows what's happening. But I spotted an idea, and actually Tingjie Lei had no problems at all. Really good tactician, of course. So rook g1 check, rook g1, and now not queen e4, knight f6 check. That's not what you want to do. But the simple queen takes f2, hitting the pawn on h2. Now bishop f4 was played, and well, you're still vaguely fighting in there. All you need is for this queen to move away and get a rook over to here, and you'd be delivering checkmate. But there are very many ways of winning here. I was very excited by rook c1. I thought that was a gorgeous way to finish. If bishop c1, we've got queen h2 mate, of course. Obviously, if you take with the rook on c1, then we've got queen g2. And if you go knight f6, I just go king h8, and of course the key point here is that you can't play rook g8 checkmate because, well, you're pinned, so that's bad. But there are many other ways of winning, and well, I think Tingjie Lei played the very safest way. This was, after all, qualification for the World Championships. No point in going for heroics. Just queen g2 takes, and bishop f4, all forcing, and white resigned because rook f4. We go rook c1 check, and then we've got g1 queen, and it's all winning. So there we are. A brilliant game. Really nice finish from Tingjie Lei. Really controlled. I think Zhongyi Tan didn't find an opening that suited her, and yeah, didn't quite have. Would have needed a lot of big preparation in this against the line that Tingjie Lei played, which was very aggressive. I think would have needed a lot of preparation with exchange sacrifices, just what Dragon played, in order to really make something of it. As it was, Tingjie Lei took a space advantage with black and then just hammered it home. It was really impressive. And yeah, that led to a 3.5, 1.5 victory and qualification for the World Championship. I think, in general, I think that it's a well-deserved victory there. Zhongyi Tan certainly had a moment. In the fourth game, could have won if she'd spotted that tactic. Somehow, I think Tingjie Lei went for it completely. Was taking risks, really going for it, and just maybe showed just a little bit more in all the games. But if Zhongyi Tan had found that other line and won the match, I don't think he would have complained either. So in any case, I think both players really put up a great show, went for it completely. Any position could turn out to be a win with their fighting play. And I think I've thoroughly enjoyed looking at this match, and I hope you have too. So really looking forward to the World Championship with Ju Wenjun against Tingjie Lei. Really looking forward to it. Two very strong players, going to be very well prepared. Going to be a very exciting World Championship match, which I hope you'll follow with me on this channel when it happens in, I think it's June or July. Otherwise, hope you've enjoyed these videos of this match. Thanks very much for all of those who've left comments and also chatted with me on Mastodon as I was live chatting about the game. Just really enjoyed it, and makes it all nice and worthwhile, really. So there we are. Why not finish off this series by giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, taking a look at my new book, Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, and otherwise, hope to welcome you on this channel for further videos. Thanks for watching.